Hello everybody, this is Bitcoin Macro, and on this video guys I want to give you a quick update on Bitcoin and Ethereum, but also talk a little bit about Dogecoin and Solana and the future prospects of all those projects. For now, I'm going to start with Bitcoin and then I'm going to go to Ethereum as well, because for Bitcoin there have been some pretty important things that have been going on. We have seen MicroStrategy announce a big buying round again of about $500 million, and in my opinion we can see it on the chart because the Bitcoin price was doing pretty badly. It had been breaking some very key levels. In my opinion, it was almost ready to fall and start breaking lower, but so far the MicroStrategy buying has saved the day. I don't know for how much longer, but for now it seems like we are in a little bit of a mini short squeeze because there have been a lot of late shorts in the game. And from my observations, a lot of the long short ratios across several exchanges have fallen so dramatically that right now the long short ratio is below 1, when throughout the last few months the long short ratio has been way above 1, probably close to 2 to 4. Now, this shift might not really hold for a really long time, but because we also have seen a very negative funding, and we have seen the bounce being pretty strong along with a lot of positive news, we have no idea how much higher could this go. Currently, Bitcoin, at least when we look at the CME chart, it is at a little bit of a resistance right here because we have the weekly pivot and we have some other stuff like the volume profile point of control. But so far, after having a pretty significant drop, it managed to come back from those key resistance levels that they were all support. Potentially they could have turned into resistance, but because of the strong buying, the market has been able to break above all those levels. Now, I made a video recently and I did talk about a lot of the things that I was seeing in the market, and to me it looks very strange that the market has been able to hold so well, because it does feel kind of like a miracle, like I've said on Twitter, and it might not really hold for a really long time, because maybe this resistance area might be where we get the final rejection. Maybe this is just kind of like what people say, a scam pump. Maybe it could be the final pump before everyone gets trapped once again like a little bull trap. However, you have to be aware that because we have the situation with El Salvador, and probably most of you have already heard about it, El Salvador has made Bitcoin legal tender and people have to accept Bitcoin there. They can't pay anyone with Bitcoin. They can turn stuff into USD afterwards if they don't want to hold BTC, and the government is going to take that risk for them. So it's a pretty cool initiative in my opinion, and this could actually trigger even more people starting to get into Bitcoin, especially on other Latin American countries. So they will potentially start with Bitcoin because that's the most well-known one. However, that doesn't mean that this couldn't have an effect on the whole crypto space in general, because again, all these additions, like a country, no matter how small it is, having Bitcoin as its payment currency is massive, because we have seen a lot of interest, and it was just a matter of time on who was going to be the first one to do the first step, because that was the key thing. Like with MicroStrategy, when MicroStrategy bought, then other companies followed like Square and Tesla. Now this time around, I don't know who could it be. Maybe it's just nation states starting to add Bitcoin to their reserves. Who knows? However, although the technicals of Bitcoin looked very bad and still don't look great, at least in terms of technical analysis, because a drop all the way down to 20k and even 18k would be possible and actually healthy in my opinion. Given the current situation, all the interest and attention that Bitcoin is getting once again, I would be expecting at least a dead cat bounce to 38k, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if we go all the way up to 46 or 49k. Now, after the announcement of the MicroStrategy, when at least in my opinion MicroStrategy announces the fact that they have actually bought the coins, maybe we will start rolling over because we saw something similar right here as well. Because if the market is in a bear market, once they stop buying, they have filled all the bids, the market might start rolling over. Now 500 million is not really that much, but all the attention and everything going on, along with a technical bounce of support, because we did fall right below the 300-day moving average, we trapped a lot of people. Maybe this is just a mini short squeeze for all the late shorts, and then the market resumes its downtrend. We don't really know yet, we'll see pretty soon, but in my opinion, I don't think the market will hold for another time if the market goes back to 31k. I do believe that next time it will be over. I don't really believe that this could hold for much longer, because it's very rare for us to have such an important area with so many gaps that has been tested so many times to not eventually break down. Okay, so that's what I would say. Of course, I'm very bullish in the long term. However, in the short term, we might have a little bit of trouble still. In my previous video, I had explained why I thought Bitcoin might dump, so that's why people should be careful. The price didn't really manage to close above any of the key levels that I was talking about. It never really managed to go above 37k, and then once it opened and it started trying to attempt to break out, it failed and then fell much lower. Now, like I said before, this doesn't mean that we're gonna go much higher, but for now we might see a little bit of a chop. We might not have a great direction still, because back then I thought the direction was going to be decided. We did take a pretty big step lower, but with all the stuff going on, we did have a pretty fast recovery as well. Now, if I look at Ethereum versus Bitcoin, so far Ethereum has been doing okay. It could have done much worse versus Bitcoin. So far, this might just be a little pullback, but if it is not just a little pullback and we keep seeing more interest towards Bitcoin, Ethereum could fall all the way down to 0.4 at some point, because we have had a massive alt season, and to me, it was potentially time for Bitcoin to start rallying, but Bitcoin was lacking a catalyst. Now that we have the catalyst of El Salvador and potentially MicroStrategy buying again, maybe we do see some extra interest on Bitcoin. Now, if that doesn't really go very well, then this could just keep falling and falling and falling lower, okay? Up until now, we haven't really had big pullbacks from Ethereum because Bitcoin had gone up. At least we haven't seen them since the time of the Tesla pump, where Ethereum had that kind of weird price action and then pulled back with the high fees. Currently, Ethereum doesn't really have the high fees, which is also not a great sign because of the low demand. And I'm not sure where this could be heading, but if it starts closing above 0.083, then this could be a major bullish sign, guys, okay? Because the more it keeps pushing here, this could be the proper sideways movement that we had, and then we had this drop, then up, and then this could be the same thing in reverse. So if Ethereum starts breaking above, this could be another inverse head and shoulders pattern on a large scale, where Ethereum keeps reversing every single move that it did on the downside, then to the upside, and the trend is very, very clean. To me, only something like a big catalyst like what we had with MicroStrategy or El Salvador, if nation states start getting into Bitcoin, then this could make Ethereum pull back substantially. But after that, it could just refuel the demand for Ethereum, because more and more people will start getting back in. Now, I don't know how much time would it get for Ethereum to get all the way back down here. Maybe an ETF is the catalyst for that. Because now that we have the approval of a nation state, no matter how small it is, if there are some more that do the same thing and they do approve of Bitcoin as legal tender, maybe we do have a pretty nice price action for Bitcoin, which might be a little bad for Ethereum, at least in the short term. Because Ethereum did have the last big pump, Bitcoin has been going down. It hasn't really done as well as Ethereum over the last few months. And that's why it might be Bitcoin's time to shine. That's why I have that nice cyclical behavior over and over again. Now, there have been some alts that look pretty strong, and one of those alts is Solana and the other one is Dogecoin. So far versus Bitcoin have had a pretty strong correction, at least today, but up until now Solana has been doing very well, and it almost retested its all-time highs versus Bitcoin just a few days ago. Okay, no, actually it did retest it yesterday. So this one, if it breaks at some point, Solana could just skyrocket after that. I don't know if the price will just dip first, because it would potentially be better if there is just a little dip at the beginning where Solana goes down to 9,000 satoshis or something like that and then goes higher, because now when I see this resistance get tested, I do get a little bit of a sense that maybe something is cooking for Bitcoin, because with the buying that we see and the drop on alts doesn't really seem very ordinary. Maybe it is, and I don't know, I can't really back it up. Maybe we do have some big announcements coming, because like we saw with Tesla at some point, we did see alts pull back a little bit versus Bitcoin before the announcement, but we didn't really know what was going on. So alts initially didn't drop much, but then when the big news hit, then they dropped a lot more. So maybe we do get a similar situation right now. Don't forget that Solana has already gone up substantially, but Solana is a lot smaller than Ethereum and a lot smaller than some of the other projects. Now, to me, Solana is quite a centralized project. It's not decentralized at all, and it will never be decentralized, because they have decided to sacrifice the layer one, the protocol, the decentralization of the protocol for scaling. You can't really have everything. You can't really have your cake and eat it too. So to me, Solana, maybe it will pull back all the way down to this level. Maybe it will keep doing all those cycles that it did before versus Bitcoin, except if Bitcoin just remains stuck. I'm not sure yet. The market is pretty confusing to me, because to me at least, there are more signs that we're gonna go down eventually, that will eventually break 24K or 20K, than actually go up. Now, on both scenarios, Solana will potentially fall both versus USD and versus Bitcoin. However, if Bitcoin keeps going up, potentially Solana will just drop versus Bitcoin rather than drop versus USD as well. Maybe it does a little chop, but the strength, the current strength, is quite formidable. It's not something that I can ignore. We have seen projects show strength, so maybe it is like a situation like this one right here, okay, over the summer, where Solana had almost stopped, then it made a new high, then it dropped hard, then it did chop a little bit, then it made a new high, and then it started dropping very hard. Now the thing is that alts have a lot more attention than they did back then. It's a completely different landscape. We're coming out of a massive bear market, both for Bitcoin and altcoins. And now that more and more people are building on top of all these protocols, and Solana is still relatively small, maybe the price appreciation will be much greater, especially with the listing on Coinbase, because Solana has been announced for Coinbase, but it hasn't really been listed yet. Okay, so once the trading starts, maybe that's when Solana starts dumping, because whales might want that opportunity to exit the market. And finally, guys, I just want to talk a little bit about Dogecoin, because Dogecoin is one of those projects that got listed on Coinbase Pro recently. It had that very nice pump initially, at least that's the Bitcoin chart. And I'm going to look both at Dogecoin and Solana versus USD afterwards. I just didn't think that they were as interesting, because right now, to me, at least, if we're thinking on a bullish scenario, what to really care about is, are we going to outperform Bitcoin or not? Because Bitcoin is in that situation right now with funding so low and all the things that I mentioned with El Salvador and MicroStrategy. We do care about these things, because it's that critical moment of, is everything going up, or is just Bitcoin going to go up, or is everything going down? So just at this critical juncture of the market. So to me, Dogecoin actually looks pretty good, guys, because it's still kind of like in an uptrend, and it's been consolidating sideways for quite some time. It's been about a month, and then we have seen Dogecoin form these patterns over and over again, where it has that little double top, like in this situation or this situation, and then after it goes sideways a little bit, maybe this one was much longer sideways, it just went up afterwards. And a listing on Coinbase is definitely not something we can ignore. Currently, Dogecoin is pretty much listed on all exchanges, at least all the major exchanges. I don't really know if there are any exchanges that don't really have Dogecoin at the moment. and it's also listed on Robinhood, so it's a pretty accessible coin. And now with the Coinbase listing, overall, I do believe Dogecoin could have another big pump, because we don't really know what Elon Musk might be cooking. It might sound crazy, but he might turn Dogecoin into a Tesla coin. He might turn Dogecoin into like a proof of stake chain, so that he can have more control over the protocol, so that they don't have mining. So they might say, you know, we don't want mining, it's wasteful. We don't want the security from Litecoin because that makes Dogecoin insecure. So we might just turn into proof of stake, just make it more efficient, add smart contracts. So they might start doing a lot of things with Dogecoin. They might say you can stake Dogecoin to get those benefits from Tesla. They might do whatever you can imagine. So that's the thing. The sky is the limit for Dogecoin. Clearly, I don't really believe it's going to flip Bitcoin, but it might just turn into another centralized project controlled by Elon Musk. And because of the overlap of the Tesla community, the Dogecoin community, and all that stuff, you know, it might be a huge catalyst for Dogecoin to just continue to the upside. I'm not a big fan of everything Elon Musk is doing. However, I don't really believe that I'm ready to just say that Dogecoin is going to go down, because at least to me, I do believe that this trend is more valid than this one. We have had some crazy volatility, so we might get a few traps. And if we just look at Doge USDT, you can see that it's still kind of okay. It doesn't really look all that bad. Yes, it could drop significantly lower at some point, but for now, it's looking kind of okay. Like, especially if it starts going above 45 cents, I do believe next time it will slowly grind towards $1 and even go higher from there. Never underestimate the madness of the crowds and how crazy markets can get, guys. Never do that. Because at least you can do that and not buy something, but never start selling something because you think, or shorting something, because you think it's irrational. The market is going to take all your money and you're going to be broke by shorting something that kept going up. So rather than getting rich, you became poor and you didn't even attempt to get rich. It's better for you to lose money buying something that ended up blowing up rather than lose money by shorting something that keeps going up. And here for Solana, I think it's looking pretty good. I would have preferred if the market had come down to this high, or maybe these highs at about 16.5. Rather than go up straight from here. Maybe there is a little dip, another little dip, and then higher. It's not looking perfect, but if Bitcoin keeps going higher, maybe Solana also follows at some point. Maybe, to be honest, we do get more of a grind of a sideways action and then higher, because from here I do feel like it's kind of harder for Solana to start pumping straight away, because it has been rejected on this on this volume profile. I was about to say proof of stake or something, but this volume profile right here, it has been rejecting the price. If we start closing above it and the market kind of does something like this and retests about $44, then we could be talking about more upside fairly quickly. So Solana is definitely one project to keep an eye on. I'm not a massive fan of it, but because of all the attention and all the money falling into the Solana ecosystem, and it's one of the biggest competitors because it has some of the biggest backers as well. FTX is a massive exchange, so it could do very, very well. So that's it from me, guys. On the next video, I'm gonna do some stuff about meme stocks like AMC and GME. I do wanna mention some of these things. It's gonna be a little bit more educational. Maybe you guys are not interested in these kind of stocks, but because there is a huge overlap between meme stocks, Dogecoin, and all that stuff, I want to mention it on this video. So that's it from me, guys. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Please click the bell icon to get more notifications so that you can know when a video is available, when a video is up, so you can get quick information. If you don't want to do that, you can just follow me on Twitter, Telegram, and TradingView, where I share some setups, I share some ideas. I also share these videos, so if you don't want to get notifications, you can just see these things in your feed and just get quick updates at the same time. So once again, guys, thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.